Hello. Had a little technical difficulty, but I'm back. Thank you for joining. Again, I'm talking to Adam Eltarhoni today. He works with me at the Stephen Knight Show, and he also has a new podcast, which is called React and Rewind. We're going to talk to him about that. Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to try to get Adam in the room. Hold on for 1 second. Let's see. What's up, Adam? Did you get the invite? Ah,
Hey, TK. Sorry, I was trying to do it through my computer, but I guess Instagram Live doesn't work on the laptop or something.
so in order for that to work, I would have to be on the laptop too.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So I was just explaining to everyone that you and I work together on the Stephen Knight Show. You're an actor and a producer, and you've also started a new podcast, Rewind and React, which we will get to. But the reason that I wanted to have you on is because you and I have been working together for double-digit years, and there was, I don't remember which anniversary it was. Was it the 13th or the 12th where you interviewed me for the Stephen Knight Show in celebration of our anniversary? I don't remember which year it was.
Yeah, I think it might have been Steven's 10th.
The 10th?
So probably 2012, 2011, something like that. It
Okay.
was when you guys started.
Okay. All right. So, um, welcome to my show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be on the show. Sorry, let me get my situation better so I don't have a shaky camera here, but luckily I got one of those fancy flip phones, so I can put it like this, and now I'm all good to go.
All right. So first of all, how you doing?
Good, good. It's been a year, not bad, not great, but it's yeah, not bad.
And how's your beautiful wife Abby doing?
She's doing great. She's
Good.
enjoying kind of the good fall weather. She's gotten into birding, so she's looking chasing down a lot of birds.
Okay. All right. So talk to me about your beginnings. I know that you dabble in the arts, you act, you're a filmmaker. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think I was probably like a lot of maybe or some of these kids in this generation where your parents get one of those video cameras, and so of course wanted to be in front of the camera all the time or making a lot of little movies, a lot of silly things as a youth, and eventually did some stuff in high school with some local productions, nothing like big, but like little high school projects where we would film things. So really into that scene, and then college came around, got busy with college stuff, but we started making videos for fun. Some of the fun things we did, we with my Rewind and React co-host Rob, we were making like our own little music videos. Again, just silly stuff to put on camera and things like that. So fast forward, got through college, and the Atlanta film scene was kind of up and coming. There was
Mhm.
productions moving here, things going on. So I decided to get more involved with that. I started doing some extra work. And then I really wanted to get back in front of the camera and behind the camera a little bit too. So I started just working on some little series here and there with friends and things like that. But I would still be involved a little bit with like the film scene in the essence of again continuing extra work or anything like that in the Atlanta area. And really, that was kind of the bulk of it. Moved to DC, and I started doing some other film projects. I found a new group out here. We were starting to make local films, just again for fun or different little competitions, film competitions. And then the pandemic hit, and while that didn't like get rid of everything, but that slowed me down. So I was really a good person that I didn't have a camera at the time, and so our camera person moved away, our sound person moved away, and so we kind of lost a little bit of those resources. And I haven't gotten back into the film scene yet. I started doing more of like I did some sketch comedy. I did a sketch comedy class and did some sketch comedy work for fun. and then kind of moved into podcasting. So film stuff is still there. We just got my wife and I just got a camera for birding, but also now for filmmaking. So I think
Okay.
my time behind the camera to start making more stuff is coming soon.
Okay, great. When did the Stephen Knight show come on your radar? When did that happen for you? And tell me the story behind you, because everyone has a unique story about how they got on the show. So what's yours?
Yeah, so I'm looking at my emails right now. So I wanted to discover what was like the first interaction I had with the Stephen Knight show. So first, to begin with, I met Stephen Knight. We were both recruiters at a recruiting company,
Mhm.
or a company with a recruiting arm. And that's how I met him. And that was back in 2012. And at the time, there was three of us in a room, and Stephen could tell us told stories about this before, but three of us in a room. So we were really all working together. We were all the technical recruiters. There were other recruiters in a different room. And so we got to hang out and know each other. And Stephen would talk about getting his guests ready and recording his episodes and stuff like that. And I was, chatting with him as I do. And I asked him, oh, what's the guest for this one, or what is this about? He's like, oh, we got Montel Jordan. I was like, oh, okay, like a name I've heard of, and I was like, wow,
Mhm.
this is kind of cool. So then I started listening to it, and I think so. It looks like February of 2012 was the first time I sent myself from my work email to my personal email a link to the show so I could listen to it.
Got you.
Uh, yeah. And so I have a little bit of a timeline there. And then I listened in and I would talk about like what my thoughts are. And I was really big into film. So of course I watched a ton of movies and I was like, oh, here's the movie reviews and
Mhm.
here's what I'm listening to. And anyone who's watched the show knows how Steven and I interact with each other. So we have kind of that fun relationship, but I kept like pestering him about it. So I think he eventually was like, well, do you want to join the movie reviews? You want to be, I think he was one of those put your money where your mouth is, like, come on,
Right.
you keep talking about this. Why don't you join? So I got a Google alert from May of 2012 that has a Stephen Knight Show welcomes new personality Adam. So I have a timeline now of like when I was brought on the show, and again, I don't know how much he like told you anything. But he was just like, yeah, come and and I knew I would be chatting with you, so it's not like I knew I was like replacing you or anything. But um, that's like, yeah, I just came in, I started like watching more movies. I will say it was like a money where your mouth is situation, because now that I'm doing a show every week, I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I got to watch a movie every week. Like
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
just casually watch movies I want to watch when I want to watch them. Now I actually got to watch movies, some good, some bad, because I need to have a new movie to talk about each week. And
Right.
this was definitely like early days of streaming. So it's not like I could even watch a lot of series on Netflix or anything to talk about. I had to go to the theater.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, so ever since then, and I remember the EOTM radio, entrepreneurs on a move tagline. So it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, a lot of that. And so yeah, I was part of that process, and then I got to see Steven every week at work too. So we get to talk about the episodes, and
Yeah.
he can tell me about the new guests he's working with, and all that stuff. So yeah, that's really brought me with you guys since 2012.
Yeah. And I think like it was similar for me in the beginning because the show had already started before I joined. And I was pretty much given the same homework assignment. Steven told me to listen to the show and come back and critique and tell me, what he thought. And I think at the time in the beginning, if I remember correctly, it's been 15 years. Um, it was on Friday nights when we used to come on. And I told him, I said, I think that it would be a good idea because it was in the evening and we did it. The time span of us recording it and putting on was shorter. And my
Mhm.
idea was to have a quick blurb because it was on Friday night about films you could possibly see or possibilities going out on a Friday night. And so
Yeah.
that's where the movie reviews came from. But then I was also starting my career as a sleep technologist. So I would be working overnights. And there would be times when I couldn't do the show. And I think that's part of the reason why he wanted you on, so that we don't miss a whole segment of the show if I couldn't do it. At least
Yep.
it was two of us there. And I think like even you just coming on, like it just was instantly better. Everything just instantly got better. And so I didn't know what to think about it at first, but how you and I gelled, and we've become, and I heard you say it plenty of times, the best segment of the Stephen Knight show.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
So there were a lot of people that like our segment, and they also we got flack for being too critical. Talk to me about that, and hearing that feedback on how we were about movies.
Yeah, well, so I probably always had a little bit of a critical eye to movies, but the fact that I had to watch again one every week, now, I'm spending money on this. I want to see a good movie. And there
Hmm.
are, anyone knows there are seasons for movies, and there's a season, sometimes three good movies come out at once or within a month. And then you have slow periods, and that month might not have any major release. Now, there's still a lot of things coming out,
Hmm.
and there wasn't as many like independent film theaters around me, so I couldn't even catch like some of those like hidden gems per se. But
Right.
if I'm going to watch a movie, I want it to be good. And one thing I mentioned to Steven during the anniversary discussion is like I think a big barometer for movies is expectations.
Hmm.
If I'm going to watch a movie that I know is going to be dumb and silly, that's fine. If it's dumb and silly, that's good. That's what I expected. But I think, especially over maybe the past 10, 15 years, movies have been marketed to be, hit that four quadrant, as they say, like the different age groups and like trying to appeal to everyone.
Right.
And then they miss the mark. And then they're
Hmm.
trying to do too much or adding too many storylines, or they're just, kind of filling a gap maybe in their schedule of what movies need to come out. And they're just going to put a movie that they're going to promote as like, oh, this is the next best thing. And then you watch and you're like, no, this was not good. So I, you know, I just had to tell people because um, I don't want to sanitize anything that I don't like. Now, again,
Right.
I've watched a lot of bad movies, like movies I knew were bad, but I still enjoy them because they're like so fun, dumb movies. But
Right.
yeah, the movies that I expect to have at least a little bit of quality, if they don't have it, I just yeah. And you do the same thing, especially
Hmm.
since you got to you got to experience kind of the Marvel age, right? Like Iron Man
Hmm.
was 2008, and then that like kicked off everything, and we both got to experience. But you were definitely a bigger comic book person, so you got to see like everything that came out during the decade
Right.
that pushed like boundaries, but also like were duds.
Right. Right. True. We've gotten accused on my end. What I hear, we've gotten accused of conspiring together and giving bad reviews for certain movies, because we will always tend to sync up on our reviews, and we wouldn't even discuss beforehand. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have a meeting or a chat before. It would be raw live in our recording, or when we were live, when we did it live, it would be, off the cuff. And we wind up agreeing on most of the things most of the time about most of the films. And that was just organic. And, our commentary, sometimes comical, can be a little bit brutal. Talk to me about, and it was never anything that we've discussed. We just automatically brought that to what we did. Talk to me a little bit about how raw and how honest your reviews are, and what made you approach our segment in that way.
Yeah, so I think the big thing is, first of all, movies are a hard thing to do. They're a lot of
Hmm.
work. There's a lot of people. I don't mind being critical to whatever A-list celebrity doing a bad job. I'm not hurting their feelings. They are making more money in a year than I'll probably ever make. So I really just want to say, well, here's how I really feel. And yeah, it could be very critical, but it's not like I'm doing it to, and I'm probably not dissuading a lot of people from watching these movies, but
Right.
this is just my thoughts. And so, yeah, a lot of times they do get into that criticality phase. And again, I say it because I think I want people to know how it can be better. I don't, if I say some of the cinematography is bad, I want to
Hmm.
say that. And I want people to think when they watch a movie, well, why did he think it was bad? Let me see when I watch this movie what it means. And hopefully they think, okay, it didn't look bad to me, but now I'll watch a different movie that might have a better cinematography, and then I can tell the difference. So I want people to, and maybe this is like selfish, but just to appreciate movies in the way I do. So
Hmm.
I want them to see that stuff, and I don't want. I try not to get too into the weeds because I don't want people to worry about. Oh, is there a little cup in the back of this scene that's throwing me off from the whole movie? Like, I don't want them to go
Right.
too far to extreme. I don't want to get too technical and too like a perfectionist, but I
Right.
want people to kind of appreciate what they see. And I think saying it in the raw way gives people a better idea of like how can they think about it like that as well.
Right. And I think also too, with us both having film background and have been in movies, we tend to appreciate the production part better, and we can pick out, and appreciate the work going into a production or the lack thereof, and we can speak on that from a different disposition than a person that doesn't, dabble in films. And I think that our take is pretty honest and accurate when it comes to what we expect. I always come from a place from, if you're making me come out of my home to spend money to watch a film that you're trying to make money off of, make it worth my while. Because it's
Mhm.
not just me paying to see the movie. It's me getting dressed. It's me hopping in the car. It's me burning my gas to get to the theater. It's the snacks. It's the whole kit and caboodle of this movie experience. Why should I do all that to see something that you thought was cool and you want to put on the screen? Make it worth my
Yeah,
while.
exactly.
Yeah. So 15 years. Talk to me about some of the things, like some of the highlights that you remember about the Stephen Knight show, and what made it great. Because, we're an award winning show. And I think that a lot of us kind of take that lightly. But in the world of podcasts, we were doing it before it was really a thing. We were kind of ahead of the curve, and we were winning awards, and we had some top notch guests. Talk to me about your experience over the years.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember at the beginning I would tell people it's an online radio program, and
Hmm.
that's people understood that that's fine. But now I tell people to podcast because really that's everything's become podcast in that
Yeah.
sense. But
Yep.
it was that like listen in online radio. It's just like the radio. You go online, you listen to it. I think I really enjoyed like the beginning, getting to know people. I wasn't, I started helping out on Hot Topics every once in a while as a fill in down the
Hmm.
line. So I did, I was kind of, and I didn't mind it, but I was like siloed. I was doing my own thing with you and Steven. And then the rest of the program comes together. I can listen to all the segments at once. But I think we had the advantage just on the movie review segment of there was so much changing in the world of movies. I mentioned like the Marvel age was coming too at that point, but we also had the streaming age. We also had a
Hmm.
lot of different streaming services coming around. It wasn't just the
Hmm.
Netflix show anymore. It was Amazon, Apple, all these other programs coming in, and they were doing kind of their like golden age of like let's make a bunch of shows and pitch it. A good example of recent days is Interview with the Vampire, AMC program,
Yep.
very well done program. Now Netflix is like airing the first couple seasons, and now you get like a whole new audience discovering it, and
Yep.
so it's a little bit like probably back when VCRs came out and there was all these movies that no one ever remembered seeing or haven't seen, but now you go to the local video store and you can find this cult classic and rediscover it. Music MP3s, things like that, with like the kind of the streaming age on music as well. It was like people rediscovering things, and we're getting to that in the past 15 years at a better scale because Interview with the Vampire is only a few years old, but now you're going to get a whole new audience that's seeing it on a different streaming service. So I think that helped a lot in my kind of experience of the past 15 years with the Stephen Knight show. We also got to experience kind of the 3D movies that were here and gone. Theaters got a lot better. We had the recliners. You could take a nap during a movie. We got to experience a lot of cool things within the cinema
Yeah.
world. But then, yeah, we also got to like be around for real time events. And I remember when Steven like started doing his own opinions on movie reviews and like saying, "Oh, I saw this and that," and like I think he was getting maybe a little more comfortable joining the conversation because
Mhm.
we were bringing it in and encouraging it. And I told this to Steven, he has a bad taste in movies, but he enjoys them, and so that's all that matters. Like he
Yeah.
can go and
Yeah.
if anyone hasn't seen him, find an episode where he says, "Oh, well, let me just tell you a little bit about this movie," and then you get the whole
Mhm.
storyline in 10 minutes because he just keeps going on and on. And but that's okay. And so we didn't see that at the early stages, at least when I was on, of
Right.
him like participating like that. So I think that was kind of special because I think he probably wasn't a big film guy anyway or a movie guy, but now he can, speak to it and enjoy it. And then just getting to know everyone else on the hot topics was fun. I remember just joining in when Michelle was on and things like that. And it was just fun to kind of have that group dynamic and everyone having a good time. So yeah, like the past 15 years, we got to experience a lot in our world of film and media. And again, like you said, podcasts now, everyone has a podcast, but it's cool. It's not a bad thing. It's flattening that like barrier to entry for people to create content.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of the things that I love about our show is that we created a platform for a lot of independent artists. And me being a producer on the show, because that was one of the things that I really wanted from, because I wanted more of an input into the show. And, I was the one that was listening from the beginning to the end every night. Even before I became a part of this show, I was doing it, to critique it. And that's what I continued to do like throughout the years. And being a producer and being able to book guests, that was like one of my focus, was to focus a spotlight on indie artists, because what the Stephen Knight Show became was a platform for those artists that didn't have a platform. And I'm very
Mhm.
proud of that, like over the years. And when I look over the years and I look at some of the people that have been on the show, we pretty much were at the beginning of a lot of people's careers, like that
Yeah.
are like something now. And I'm very proud of that. And I'm proud that we were able to be that part in, I guess, podcast history, that we made a mark. Because how many people have podcasts out now and they're making their content, but they're not recognized by the world. Like we become global and we have fans around the world. And, people reach out to me and talk to me about the Stephen Knight Show from Australia, Africa, Korea. And I'm so proud of that. And I'm so proud of the work that we've done for the past 15 years. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think you're right. It's great to get those small voices, so to
Hmm.
speak, especially at the early stages. I remember when someone I worked with, he did a like short promo that he was doing for he was a writer called Travis. He's still a writer. His name is Travis Hunter. He was like the first guest I recommended to Steven, but he was producing like HBO wanted them to do like a little spec video, and so
Hmm.
I played a villain in this book he did that made a little video for called Dark Child. And I thought that was cool because I was on the poster and I was like the villain and I had the little baby in my hand and I had the gun and it was a fun moment. But Travis Hunter, he's still around. He's still, I don't know if he's written anything recently, but he's still an author and he's done a lot of great work. And I
Hmm.
think it was cool to like say, "Oh, Steven, do you guys want to talk to this man? He's really cool." And he tells a story, and he will always have that. He will always have that new audience that may have discovered him
Yeah.
through the Stephen Knight show. So I think in the modern day, it's easy to get lost in that like significance, but
Yeah.
yeah, every little moment helps, and we do help people's careers, or at least get them the coverage. And it always takes is like one person to listen to, maybe a musician or a producer to say, "Oh, how can I get in touch with you, and maybe how can we work together?" So I think it's thankless job, I believe, especially what you were doing. I remember Steven telling me how you were like finding the guest, and it's a lot of work, right? It's not for nothing. It's like, yeah, you have to really get into
Yeah.
that, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of unpaid time that you're doing for the passion,
Hmm.
and you know it pays off in the end.
It does. It does. And I've met some great people. I've forged some great relationships over the years. And and then there was a point in time where, because of the Stephen Knight show, it also afforded me to be in more films. It also afforded me to start, this platform. And then there was a point in time where I was scheduling for three different podcasts. But I owed it all to the Stephen Knight show for giving me that opportunity to spread my wings and show what I could do. And the show has been very important to me, kind of like it's not my baby, it's Steven's baby, but for me to help take care of
Mhm.
what he birthed. I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of the work that you and I have done to have established a reputation that we have together for movie reviews.
Yeah, definitely. And I told Steven I'm still waiting on my royalty check for all this that I've done for him. So I'll keep reminding him.
Absolutely. We should make it a mission to torture him up until, because our last show is December 8th. That will be our show for now. So, guys, if you haven't ever checked out the Stephen Knight Show, please go check out the Stephen Knight Show. You can check it out. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on, what else? We're on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah,
You're
that's the
everywhere.
big
Just,
one.
just type in the Stephen Knight Show. You should find us. So,
Yeah, and I'll add comments. Say, Steven, you need to pay Chike and Adam. Just go tell them we got to start this campaign at some point.
so 15 years. Um, we're kind of doing, I like to think of my show as a spin-off show. Conversations with Chike Evans is a spin-off show of the Stephen Knight Show. And you now have branched off and you're doing another podcast called Review and
Rewind,
React.
no, rewind and react.
Rewind
It's a
and React.
mouthful. Yep,
Sorry. Yes,
no
Rewind and
worries.
React. So talk to me a little bit about what you do over there and how did you get to this?
Yeah, so just again, post pandemic, I needed another creative outlet. I wasn't making like movies, and I will say I still making content on YouTube. You know, I do the advent calendar videos where I try to do
Yeah.
something new every day, fun little videos. But I was talking to Rob Fine, a friend of mine, all the way back from college, still a great friend, and I mentioned to him at probably last year, maybe 2 years ago, a couple years ago, I said, let's do a podcast. And he's done a podcast with another friend of ours for a brief period talking about football. But I was thinking, what hasn't been done as a podcast? And so, of course, I choose like the most random thing. But we both like music videos. Music videos are a form of film, so it's like it's got a lot of those elements. And I said, okay, well, why don't we do a podcast where we just talk about music videos and we don't like review them per se, but we'll watch them, we'll give our insights, talk about like behind the scenes and kind of like special things that happened or why they were important to us or maybe even important to like the general public at the time. He stimmed on that for a while, and then like a year later, he was like, you know what? Remember that podcast idea you were talking about? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I want to do that. I was like, okay, let's get it started. So we met up, we organized, we figured like what's going to be our first episodes to make, and how should we do the coverage. And we, as anyone starting out, we tried a few different ideas, but I think we found kind of our routine of what we want to talk about. And I will say I don't think there's another music video review podcast out there, so we're still unique in that sense. And it's fun to go back to like some of these old music videos from the 90s that I don't
Mm.
even I barely remember seeing, and really dive into seeing what was going on at the time.
So how, like, what do you know, like the oldest one you've reviewed?
So I will say our first episode we wanted to try it out was a Christmas music video episode, which I don't think I would recommend again. Christmas songs are great, Christmas music videos are fine, but in that video, George Michael's "Last Christmas," which I think was
Mhm.
1984, was the oldest one
Okay.
we reviewed. Now we've picked a different model. Usually we'll either pick an artist and pick like highlights, videos we like from them, Smashing
Okay.
Pumpkins, Outkast, things like that. We've also done an album. So like this was the 25th anniversary of the Marshall Mathers LP. So we decided to do the three music videos Eminem released for that album, and
Gotcha.
discuss that. And then we also have decided to like do a little bit of shorter form where we like to do just like one music video. So we'll deep dive into one music video. We'll talk about it. Um, it gives our audiences different lengths. The longer ones are probably like an hour and 20 minutes. These little ones are probably like 20 to 30 minutes long. So it's a little content for everyone that has a different, I guess, threshold for listening to podcasts.
And where, like, I know you just told me the origin of it, but did some of that come from the film review? Because music videos are mini little movies. So basically, you're just continuing on what you've done with the Stephen Knight show, and you're putting it in another aspect of things. I
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. I think so. I think probably Steven had us on vacation for like a month or something like that where we weren't, and I
Mhm.
was like, I need something to talk about. So yeah, the music video, the movie reviews definitely played a part in kind of this origin.
How do you pick your videos? What's the criteria?
So it's a random factor. Well, there's a few factors I should say. So we either pick something we're in the mood for. So we'll say, oh, I want to talk about this band. It's usually we try to do, and I will say we don't have a marketing team, so it's a lot of like, what's good for SEO. So Oasis came back as a band. They were doing a tour, so we're like, oh, let's do an Oasis episode. I think My Chemical Romance just finished like their farewell tour, as they say at the time. So why don't we do an episode about them? Again, anniversary. Smashing Pumpkins had their album 30 years ago, so let's talk about that. It's less of, I mean, and the SEO is like the secondary. We really want to talk about what we want to talk about, but
Right.
we like Smashing Pumpkins, and maybe we'll get some triggers here where people are looking up some of the songs from Smashing Pumpkins, and we pop up. So that's a little bit of determining factors, and then also what do we think is like kind of monumental or maybe
Mhm.
like important. We haven't hit all the important ones. We're still, this is our first year, but California Love by Tupac and Dr.
Mhm.
Dre. That
Mhm.
was a very big video at the time, had a
Mhm.
huge budget. It was cool themes. Again, it's based off of Mad Max,
Yeah.
so it had a movie tie-in. You had a lot of cool factors like, this is the video Tupac just got out of jail.
Yes.
So this is his first video from out of jail. Dr. Dre was actually going to write the song by himself, and then Death Row made him do it with Tupac. There's a lot of cool little stories behind it. So that's another thing we try to factor into is like what's kind of a big monumental event. We just did a series of Halloween episodes, and we did Thriller. So maybe that's our
Well,
oldest
yeah.
one. And that is a movie, basically. It's like 14
Yeah.
minutes long. It's a short
Yeah.
film. It's the first time I watched it all the way through. Um, and it's obviously for Halloween we did it, but like it was cool to see that with fresh eyes, because I
Mhm.
know people seeing it for the first time when it premiered had to be such an amazing experience. It really changed not just his career. His career was already great, but like that really put a lot of stuff on the map. But it also changed like the music video industry. Like
Yep.
people realize you can do high quality, high budget, have a famous director do your music video, and
Mhm.
it will move albums. And Thriller's the number one album of all time still. So that's the kind of factor. So there's just this a mix of different things.
And see, my producer hat just jumped on again for a second, and I'm going to give you maybe something that you could incorporate into your show. Maybe you could figure out the music videos where on one project the artist, you would have to find the artist because a few of them have done this, where they release multiple videos off of one musical project, but the videos were connected. It's not too many artists that done that. So maybe you could talk about that on one of your shows. I always thought that that was interesting, that they took the videos and made them like in a little arc of like a story, and separately their own independent music videos, but played together, you can see how they're connected and they become a story.
Yeah. If you have any good examples, definitely send them to me because I do think, and again, I don't think we realize it as a general population, maybe of like music videos, but like this is not just like a marketing tool. I mean, first and foremost, yeah, it's a marketing tool, but it's also like an outlet for the artist. If your
Yeah.
musician really likes to make visual content, this is their chance to shine. You don't have to make a whole movie. You don't have to spend a whole budget, and you can do it multiple times because you have multiple songs. So I definitely can see where like there's a good example of like a through line through these different videos. And for the eagle-eyed watcher, you can be like, oh, that's a cool little reference. And again, these artists get to have that outlet of not just making music, but making videos.
Yep, absolutely. Is Rob joining us tonight? I know Rob was supposed to be coming on, possibly.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I think you might have got caught up with some family stuff, so it'll just be
Okay.
me.
All right. So how can people see your podcast? Where can they go?
So the easiest thing to do is go to rewindandreact.com. We have a website that will have links to you can listen to the episodes there, but you can also it has links to Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So of course, if you know, as you probably know, YouTube like the number two search engine, right? People search it all the time, and that's where most of our content thrives. And so you can go that rewind and react again on Instagram, rewind and react on Spotify, Apple, and then on our rewind and react YouTube channel.
Do you have a favorite episode so far?
So it's funny. We're gonna do a year end review episode. Um, I'd have to think about it. You know, I don't want to say off recency. I would go with Thriller, but that was such a good video. I will
Yeah.
say some of the surprising videos for me are there's a song by Natalie Imbruglia called Torn. It
Hmm.
was all over the waves in the 90s. I've only vaguely remembered the video, but then I watched the video and it was surprisingly more complex than I thought. And for anyone that wants to watch a video that like kind of surprises them, that's a good one. Mainly because it starts like in her apartment and then you slowly realize that it's a soundstage and
Mm.
everything's falling apart around her and she's torn. So it's kind of cool. It's how do you take like a simple concept and put it, add so much to it within the constraints you have. So that was one of the highlights. Stan, the Eminem video, you
Hmm.
know, it was our darkest video. Obviously, it's a dark song. I've
Yeah.
never watched it all the way through, but it's a video that has such a great storytelling narrative that ends with, a guy driving off the bridge with his pregnant girlfriend in the car. So there's a lot in that video that they really present in such a way. And also, it's crazy to think that that was like a hit song in the early 2000s of I mean, he had star power, obviously, by then, but like just the fact that you can make that song and it'd be like playing on the radio
Right.
today
Yeah.
was impressive. So the video does a great job. And I will add one more thing too. It's funny. There's the Eminem official YouTube, and then there's like the Eminem Dirty. And you want to watch the Eminem Dirty because that shows like the full cuts of some of these videos.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of videos out there that they edit. You had to edit for MTV and things like that. So you can
Yeah.
find kind of like the darker videos out there that really like kind of show you what the true intent was from the artist.
Now that as you were talking and I was going back, thinking about like some of the controversial videos of when I was younger, and the person that stands out the most would be Madonna. Like Madonna was on purpose trying to shock people into wherever she wanted them to go. I remember the video for Justify My Love was banned at first. They wouldn't play it. And then I think during that time is when MTV came up with MTV at night or something.
Mm-hmm.
They would play the more risque stuff later on in the night, and you got to see it then. Or when she came out with Just Like a Prayer,
Yes.
and she cast Leon as Jesus, and that was like, whew, that was a big thing because he's an African American man. And
Yeah,
that was huge.
yeah. It's so funny because I watched that video for the first time recently. We'll do a Madonna episode, but it was crazy because that probably was never aired on MTV. You probably
Yeah,
had to go to the special channels.
yeah.
And a couple things. So the cool thing about Madonna at the time is her only competition was herself. Every video she made, she had to one up herself, and you could see that in like a lot of her videos. But I also learned during my research that the Playboy channel actually had a a music video hour.
Really?
And for example, Nine Inch Nails' "Closer" music video, which has a lot of has like some nudity, but just kind of a lot of weird, grotesque scenes, was not like it was a heavy edited version on MTV, but the Playboy Channel, their music video hour, played it. So we think of the traditional like MTV, VH1,
Hmm.
BT, CMT, even like, but there were a lot of other like programs that were like getting into the music video game and like paying for these places to make them. Um, so yeah, and I'm going to add one more thing because I just made me think about it, and you might remember this. There was a time when Michael Jackson's videos were a primetime event, and I was again too young, but when he was making these, you would tune in at 8 o'clock on a Monday night. And it's crazy to think that there was a point where the music videos hit that like that allure. And of course, Michael Jackson helps, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, like how do you like create your programming where you're going to have to stop and do an 8 minute video that the whole world is going to watch you release on like a Monday night? So again, a lot of cool things throughout the history of music videos.
Yeah. That's pretty decent. And I like the whole um going back in time and analyzing, that previous art and how the music business has changed so much, and people don't look at music videos quite the same if artists even create music videos anymore, because the platforms in which they would broadcast them have changed. A lot of them have incorporated film. They've incorporated maybe reality shows or um, anything else to help the network bring in some more money
Yep.
besides music videos. So it's always interesting to me when artists now will release a music video and it gets some type of buzz, because it's a throwback to yesteryear. Because I remember, like you said, there would be a whole countdown from starting at noon to that evening about Michael Jackson's video, or whomever has a huge song and the video is going to come out. It would be a wonderful thing, and I miss that excitement about art like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the world is a lot different. But I will say the music video is still alive. It's no longer maybe like a record company using it to promote their artist or advertise
Hmm.
them, but we did the episode on Olivia Rodrigo earlier this year.
Hmm.
And I basically pitched it because like, let's do someone new. She came out in the last 5 years, so she is truly a 2020s artist. She has several music videos. Almost all of them are high production quality. And like, again, like you can, there's still, I think, and maybe that's part of the nostalgia. The 90s are back, as they say. They're in. Maybe all these young artists want to kind of go back and like mimic that time period. So they're making
Hmm.
these great elaborate music videos. But I will say they're still alive, but just like everything else these days, it's there's a lot of noise out there and it's kind of hidden in the mix.
And in the marketing sense for some musical artists, I applaud the ones that totally use these apps and platforms to push their product. Like I so love on Spotify, you can now listen to the music and see the music video at the same time. That is so genius. Love them for that. Um, Anything else you want to add?
No, the only other thing is, and it's I'll say this because as you know, music videos really just show the artist and maybe they'll tell you who the director is. But there's a lot of production in a music video and there's a lot of good behind the scenes, but again, it's the unsung heroes, the people who have to do the sound, who have to do the lighting, who have to set it up. There's a lot of work being done in music videos, and that's another cool thing I think that relates to the movie reviews is you get to see the quality of work of the people who are not on the screen or not
Yeah.
even mentioned as the
Yeah.
director. And a lot of great directors out there, but yeah, you get to see a lot of that. So it's got a lot of wealth of information in music videos that, again, for a 2 minute ad for the artist, you don't realize there's a lot going in and like a lot of creativity happening.
Yeah. I mean, I'm older than you, but I remember the shift when you had some music video directors who became famous from doing great music videos who's transitioned into films. And then it became so big that you had some big directors move into doing music videos. And I thought
Hmm.
that that was pretty decent because it showed you how important the art was when you can cross genres, motion picture and music, and the two can meet, and you have that great music video that is a display of that merge. Love that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Spike Jones is a popular example of a movie music video director that really David Fincher actually is probably the most famous example. He directed a lot of the Madonna videos. He's directed a lot of cool videos, and now, of course, he's a world famous director. But he wouldn't be opposed to making another music video because why not? And I think that's the beauty of it. Is it's I think it's a win-win for everyone because it's a low lift. You don't have to commit months to make this. Commit a few
Right.
days, and you have
Yeah.
something cool that people will appreciate.
Yep. Absolutely. Adam, tell us again where we can find you and we can keep up with you.
Yeah, so you can follow me, Fly as a Kite personally, and then our website is rewindandreact.com. I'll put a little sticker with this. So I made some stickers. I'll get you one next time I see you. I judge people by their favorite music video, so a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek reference. But Rewind and React, that's where you can find us. That's the easiest way to find us, or go to YouTube and just look up Rewind. Well, actually, our website's easiest to find us. I will say Rewind and React is a pretty generic title. Maybe I should have picked a better podcast title, but a lot of things will pull up if you do that. Just go to the website, Rewind and React, or look for us on Spotify.
Okay. So, one of the things that I do on my platform is I get my guests to manifest something or put something in the universe of positivity that they would like to come into fruition. And I'm going to ask you to do the same. And it can be anything of your choosing, any area, anywhere whatsoever. And the floor is yours.
Sure. So I guess let me make sure I understand. Can you give me a good example of what people have manifested? So I don't know. So I'm not either going too narrow or too big.
So, Barbie Alexis of Brownstone, the singing group Brownstone, she also has an eyewear line. And one of her manifestations was that her eyewear line be sold in major department stores and be available around the world. And she said that on my show. And I would say maybe a month later, someone reached out to her and they gave her a marketing spot in, I think it was Italian Vogue.
Oh
And then it
wow.
went from Italian Vogue to Harper's Bazaar. And so she shared that with me after she put that out in the universe that had happened for her. And then a couple of other guests, maybe they wanted a role or they wanted to work with another person. But
Yep.
this platform has opened up, a portal for them to get that out. And because they put that energy out in the universe, it came back. So once I started seeing that more than like 4 or 5 people would say they had positive reactions from that, I made it a part of the show. So
Perfect. Yeah. So
the
I would
floor is yours.
say I'm ready to get back behind the camera. So
Yeah.
I would love to direct music videos. Actually, that would be I watching these, I get so many ideas of what I would like videos for songs to be like. So yeah, I guess that's my manifestation is make some music videos. I'm local to the DC area, DMV, so we have a lot of good artists in the area. But yeah, anything. I mean, again, if I like the song, if I can come up with a good narrative, I'm ready to make something for him.
I say, because Steven had promised that he was getting back to music, I think that you should be the music director for your soon to be former boss music when he comes out with his new music. You should be able to do one of his videos for
Awesome. All right, Steven, I'm coming for you in a good
him.
way, but I'm coming for you.
Adam, thank you so much, brother. And I guess we're back to work on Monday. I will see you on Monday.
All right, thanks so much, CK. Have a good one.
All right, brother. Take care.
All right.